guys. Welcome to the Spirit Essence Show with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. That is me. And before we even start anything, you guys, this is the show where the animals are going to rule. I just have a feeling. So we have cats with Ray. We have dogs over here. Forgive me. There's Ralph. What a beautiful cat.
He's beautiful. He just bit me, but he's beautiful.
He's a big fluff. Holy crow, he's big.
He is. Yeah, black cat on a full moon, basically, is what was happening in the last
how
couple
witchy.
days.
How witchy of you.
Yeah.
I actually have a black cat, 18 years old, in my bathroom. That's where she dragged her bed about 3 years ago, and she's like waiting out life in the bathroom. There's no dogs. She's good to go.
Elvis did that, so it's okay.
But that's a good point. Also, we just want to do a shout out to Ralph's partner in crime,
his brother
Cornell. His brother Cornell.
Yeah, Cornell. Yeah, he's around somewhere.
Okay,
he may pay a visit. Yeah,
well, that's okay. We're loving on Ralph here.
Yep.
I've got Cookie, Honey, and Sammy all crashed out. They've been groomed today, so I think they are like petered out. So
love it.
Anyway, welcome, friends. Welcome to the Spirit Essence Show. I'm 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. This is the show where you have an opportunity to meet different individuals that have some sort of connection with me in the philosophy of the power of three, body, mind, and spirit. And today we have Ray. This is exciting. I'm going to tell you why it's exciting. This is exciting because you've been in my life for many years now.
Mm-hmm.
And you are my closet medium. You were the person who, for years, I kept saying, you're a medium. And you'd say, yeah. And then we lost touch a little bit, right? We always, Facebook friends, we see things, but lost touch a little bit. And all of a sudden you popped up and you're like, hey, paranormal investigator. I'm like, hey, medium. And here we are.
True.
So Ray, introduce yourself. Tell us what you are doing.
Well, I over that period of time, I think during the pandemic, it was, there's so much quiet going on, and the world was incredibly quiet. I can't even imagine what the spirits may have been thinking during that, because everything just kind of went into a lull. And that also spoke to people that were in this lull stage. So yes, I've been a paranormal investigator for about 5 years. I started my own paranormal team called Helter Spectre. I'm the founder of Helter Spectre Afterlife Investigations. But prior to that, I was also involved in another local team here in New Westminster. Well, I guess lower mainland Vancouver. And I decided to branch out because I had some different things I wanted to approach differently, and started Helter Spectre, and it's been awesome. We've had some incredible investigations. The most exciting, I think, of the few that we've had, because during the pandemic, you really couldn't just be like, hey, do you want me to, can I just come into your place and do like whatever? No, but we did the Capitol Theater. Sorry, it would have been the Columbia Theater.
Ooh. I've been there.
Yeah, which is incredibly fascinating. And the theater in itself is well over 100 years old. So there were a lot of interesting elements to that investigation, because there are just layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff. And as an investigator, we try to look at all the layers, not just this one layer of information. So we extract anything or any evidence that we can pull from that, so long as that it's not something that we can explain. And there were some interesting things from that investigation. So the Columbia Theater, which is now the not Laugh Lines, but it's Rick Bronson's House of Comedy. Fantastic. Yeah.
Remind me, we're going to get all into this in a second, but remind me, was that at one point the Raymond Burr Theater?
It was the Raymond Burr Theater.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something. I went to a really scary haunted house there. So scary, in fact, that my sister made me pay her back the money for the ticket because I ran through it. I ran through the whole thing. I was like, not having any of this. Some person crawled out from under a door at me, and that was the end of it. I was gone. And
that's right.
I mean, I see stuff all the time.
I know.
Let's talk a little bit.
Sure.
The paranormal has such a huge following, right? Everyone from believers to skeptics love to dive into the science of the paranormal.
Yeah.
So what brought you to where you are now, though? So what is it about the science? Because to me, you're very intuitive. You're very spiritual. You should be doing what I'm doing, or not. But you have that ability. So why instead of flowing to the mediumship side per se, did you go to the scientific side of it?
Because edifying the public about things that we don't completely understand may lay more heavily on a scientific side. And so I do value and appreciate that you've recognized that there's some sensitive abilities within myself, and that's something we can touch on later. But for the most part, actually, I will say this: I'm not interested in convincing anybody that the paranormal exists.
Excellent. I appreciate that.
And you know what? And that's okay. You know, there are segments of society that just are locked onto the imperial method and the scientific method. And if it doesn't exist, or if you can't repeat it, it's not a thing. And that's okay. People can certainly believe that. And then there's the other side, and there are other sides that just want to say, they're not really interested in looking at the scientific side, but they're more interested in the intuitive side or their experience. So experiences, right? So they're not really wanting to delve. They're just, oh, I had this experience and therefore it exists. I'm sitting in the middle between those that in this. And quite honestly, I would rather, okay, what's the word I want to use here? What are the words I want to use? If I am in a discussion with someone about the paranormal, I would rather have a more evidential side and a scientific side, not to prove my point, but to stand on some evidence so it makes people think. If I were to say, I'm a sensitive, of which I am to a certain degree, there is less of that discussion. However, there are things that I've experienced as a sensitive that I can't explain, but I would, okay, here's the other thing. I have more evidence. Oh, this is not going to go over well with some people, but
Bring it, brother.
I have more evidence about the afterlife or the other side or sides. I actually, my philosophy is just, there's just not one side, there's other sides, there's layers and things. And
absolutely, I agree.
Right?
Dimensions.
Yeah, and dimensions and whatnot. And I have more evidence to suggest something else exists than, oh, this is not going to go over well, but God. So God is written within a book, but there is no evidence to show that God exists unless you look at the world and how beautiful it is and all these things. And that comes from a very deeper, more faith-based look. But if I want to say, hey, here is this EVP I found that I can't explain, and there are a few in our catalog, that tells me there's something further beyond than this realm, but I have not seen any evidence through a book or a book with a collection of books called the Bible that shows me that that is real. I found more things that are more real in this world than the Bible. I know it's very controversial.
Oh,
and,
please. If you know me, and you do know me, everyone knows what I feel about organized religion.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can say we have purgatory for hundreds of thousands of years, and then next thing you know,
sure.
we've decided
Absolutely.
there is no purgatory, and we can change the counts over here, and we can have a new book over here. Oh my God, I can't even get into it. But I will say this. I find it very interesting that in most religions, the idea of a medium, I'm just going to put this out there, is sinful.
Sure. Yeah, especially in Catholicism, because the idea
for
of
sure in Catholicism.
And because in Catholicism, which is a faith that I was raised within, you can't speak to any other spirit other than God. And that's a horrible thing. I mean, that's a dogma that we've been taught over years, but it's true. You cannot communicate with any other thing that communicates with spirit other than through the spirit of God and Jesus Christ. And that's just rules of a book.
Right. And
So,
it is.
and I do agree with you. And you have a fabulous skill and ability to reach into those places, and you're not doing any harm or any wrong. And that's, that's what maybe a book says. And you're creating and building and edifying people and giving them hope or information, good or bad. And that's what I think we need. We don't need to follow this very straight line of I can go on, like, sorry, I'm going
No,
on this thing,
it's awesome, because
but
let's just think for a second.
Sure.
What you're providing by having evidence. Now, I'm a evidential medium, but I can provide proof of who I'm speaking with. That gives them some proof, things that I would not know. Oh, Cookie's crying like crazy.
Oh, Cookie.
Things that I would not know, that tells them that their loved one's with me. You are providing tangible evidence. It is what it is. And it doesn't, you know what? I say to everyone, believe what you need to believe in, what fills your heart with hope and strength. It's all good. We don't care.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I want to go to the next step.
Sure.
I want to know how you prepare to go on an investigation. I want to know what the agenda looks like. What do you do to get ready? How do you find a location?
Well, I'm going to say it's been challenging to find residential locations where people need your help. And I believe there's a reason why. There is so much paranormal programming on television. I believe these programs are quote unquote educating people on how to do things themselves. That's something I call parapropaganda. Right. And no longer are they calling to the experience. I'm not going to say experts, because there's no expert in this field, but you can be knowledgeable and you can be experienced. And they're no longer calling to folks like myself or teams that have a broad spectrum of skills and abilities to figure out what's wrong or what's happening within their home, and whether that's explainable stuff or whether that is unexplainable paranormal stuff. Because TV is teaching them how to do things for themselves.
Right. So everyone's going out and buying the tools.
Right. Everyone, you can go on Amazon, you can order a digital recorder, you can go on Amazon and, get an EDI box. You can go on Amazon and get this stuff. You can go on Amazon and get a book that tells you how to do things. So they're doing things for themselves. But I think there's a part of that where they're losing the experience of objectivity and being able to suss out what's happening in your home explainable and what is happening in your home that is not explainable.
That is such a good point, Ray.
Yeah.
That is such a good point.
For sure. So how do we find investigations? Well, no one is coming to us. We've had 2 residentials, 2 which were kind of cool. And we weren't necessarily saving anybody from their home or the things that were happening. They were just more curious what was happening within their abode. So lately, our investigations are reaching out to historical sites and saying, hey, would you mind us doing a thing? And so that has been in large part our work, which is yielding interesting results, like Burger Heaven, for example, in New Westminster. Everyone's gone to Burger Heaven. Maybe not everybody, especially if you're.
I have.
Yeah, you have, and it's great. We had some interesting stuff happen at Burger Heaven. Also, pardon me, it's bubbly. I burped. Also, the Brady Lake Theater in New Westminster. That place is gosh, how can I say? If there are spirits that exist there, and I believe they do, they are used to having people come through consistently, like Vancouver Paranormal Society has gone through, and Northern Paranormal Investigations have gone through, and Helter Spectre has gone through. So at this point, I think the spirits are saying, yeah, we know that we can just talk into a box. You don't have to tell us. Just, okay, whatever. We know what it freaking looks like. Okay, stop talking to us like we're dumb. Oh, it's my cats. So we've had opportunities to go in through historical buildings, which is great. And so your other question is, how do we prepare for that? And part of that is when we look at the land and the history of the building. And I'm a bit of a weirdo in the sense that I'm not so much interested who passed away or what happened in these really grim, dark stories. I'm more interested in the vibe of the building and the land. And I think everything else will speak for itself.
Ooh.
Does that make sense? Because
it does.
Because I don't believe only one investigation is valid. You need to have several back to back to tell a story. You can't tell a story of a building off of just one investigation. There's no way. So when you present evidence to clients and you're like, oh, this thing happened and this happened, and they may ask, well, who was that person? Gosh, we don't know. I think we want to come back and do multiple investigations to ask. And then to your point, I think one of your questions was, how do we incorporate sensitive or mediums within those investigations? And I'm really careful about that, because as a sensitive myself, I need to be cognizant and aware that whatever information I'm receiving needs to be corroborated or validated through a device like a digital recorder.
Right. Yeah.
So we work on a different premise than maybe other groups. So what we will do is this. We'll have a team and we'll have a sensitive. The sensitive will work with us moving through the building and the rooms. But the sensitive, my request is to not say anything about a particular room, because I don't want a bias to happen with the other team members. I'd like the information to be as pure and as clean as possible without having some sort of confirmation bias. But the sensitive or medium will write notes down about a particular room. We seal that in an envelope and we review the evidence. If there is a correlation between what we found evidentially and what is on the paper, then boom, we have strong evidence that this stuff is actually happening. This is the facts, more or less. And then we'll go back again. And now we have a roadmap of, oh gosh, okay, so Tara said there was Jonathan who was here, and this is something, and maybe we had Jonathan come up on the EVP device, digital recorder, and we can go back again and say, oh, there's a roadmap. Now we can dig deeper, and now we can ask more questions. So that's how we work differently than maybe other groups, than just being like, oh, I feel something here and feel something here. It's a little tourniquet a little bit at the first, but then it opens up as soon as we can build more of a roadmap for other investigations.
Sweet goddess, I don't know if I could ever go with you. I have to, if I'm feeling it, I'm talking, I'm like,
oh, I know, and I know that's so hard. It's so hard.
And you know, and that's the funny thing, is that a lot of people ask me all the time, oh, do you go and do paranormal investigations? And I always say, yeah, I'll go. Mm-hmm. Two things happen with me. When I have to wait a long time for mm-hmm. something and I'm already receiving everything, I'm like this. Right? Mm-hmm. I love the paranormal investigation stuff. And I've been on one where I crawled under fences and to get into a cemetery, and it was ridiculous. But I got so much stuff that they could collaborate, right? That they, not necessarily on there, they went and did the research afterwards, and they were like, holy crap, you got names, you got this, you got how he died.
Sure. Yeah.
But I don't even remember what they got, because I wasn't worried about it. I wanted my stuff to be collaborated. I wasn't worried about what they were doing. So I always feel like I'm not the person to go. I mean, I love to go on them, but I am that person because I already know. I already know what I feel. I already know how many
Mhm.
people are in the room. I know how many things are
Mhm.
happening. I know who's going to come out and who's not going to come out. And I
Mhm.
also don't, I've said to people before when we've gone to places, I'm like, this is going to be a bust. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because they're telling me it's going to be a bust. So we can spend hours in here and you're going to get nothing because they're not interested in entertaining you. And they're like, okay. So we've done that. And I've left. I'm like,
you're like, I got better things to do with my time.
I'm like, I told you guys, call me when you get something.
Yeah.
Right. Because I've already got the information. I haven't given it to anyone per se, but I'm really wrong. Having said that, I want you to tell us a little bit though. Oh,
Sure.
sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, we've never had anybody of your caliber on our investigations before, so I would be interested in working within your process versus the process that we've kind of put together. So I mean, it's kind of like a safe zone process. And I'll say, yeah, some people say that they are, and I have to take that at word, or I will say that they are self-identified as, right?
Right.
They self-identify as a medium or sensitive.
And right now, mediumship is a fad. There is a lot of people who say they're mediums.
Sure. Yeah.
I find that you have to provide some good evidence. So you say you're a medium and then go ahead with it. There's lots of intuitives that can do some mediumship.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say everyone's a medium, but again, I'm not here to judge anyone.
No, of course not. No, nor am I. But if we ever had the opportunity to work together on such an investigation, I would just follow your lead on that, and then we can work towards that, because A, I trust you, and B, your credibility is incredible. So that's not a hard and fast rule at Helter Spectre, but I will say, if you ever came along, boom, let's try your way.
I would try my best to follow the rules. The Scorpio in me doesn't do that, but I would try my best. I'm going to invite you, though. I'm going to invite you and your team to come and do the first United Spirituals Church.
What? Really? Get out.
Absolutely.
For reals?
I make you to do that. That church, just very quickly, friends, that church I belong to it. It's a lovely church. It's got, it came from Forest Lawn Cemetery. And it was moved to the location it's in now, which is only about 5 blocks at best from Forest Lawn. And it is the only spiritualist chapel. It's got a full-on chapel, guys, with pews and everything. We do services up there. And it's over 100 years old. It's got heritage. And we can hear when we're down in the lobby, you sit and people say, oh, it's creaking. It's not. You can hear the footsteps when they're up there waiting for us. It's so cool. And I think you would love it. You would love it.
Yes.
But I digress. We are moving into, this is going to be the longest interview of our lives if we don't carry on. So again, I just want to quickly, so you find the locations yourself, basically. I'm just going to say this really quick. I do love historical sites. I do love them more than I love homes. And for me, that is because generally when I walk into the home, immediately I know it's residual energy, or it's stagnant energy, and what they're feeling and saying that's happening is, and I would say that for me, that's 8 out of 10 times that it's not spirit, it's residual energy they're stuck in. So I like the historical aspect of it. And I never look up anything. I don't care. I'm going there to see what I can get. So I never go and find out, like we did the BC Penn Cemetery, and I still have scars from that. Wow. But it was cool, but I didn't know anything about it. And I went in there and pulled a bunch of stuff. So I want to know what the agenda looks like when you go in. So you go in and you set up all your tools. What tools do you use?
Well, meat and potatoes. I'd love to say we got this SLS camera, the structured light sensor that's going to map out bodies and stuff. I would love to say that we're using the 𝗦𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 iPod.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, I know. It's a thing. It's a thing that
𝗦𝗃𝗃 is a very, very word. I mean, what the heck? So what do you have then, my friend?
So we basically, it's just the basic devices. We got our digital recorders, which is a thing, and we have our IR lights and cameras, which record an IR spectrum, and we also have full spectrum picture cameras and IR trap cams. And these are things that we'll set up in certain rooms and just walk away and leave. And hopefully that will capture something. But the one device that I'm most happy with is this little orange buddy here. It's called the EDI box.
Right.
Now the EDI Plus rather, records temperature, pressure, humidity, vibration, electromagnetic fields. This in itself is awesome. And here's why. It's a bunch of standalone measurements of the environment put into one. And whilst it is designed for the paranormal, but every little single thing inside this box can be something separate unto itself and doesn't need to be used for the paranormal.
I see. Okay.
So I'm going to explain something in just a hot second. But so it'll tell me what the temperature is. It'll tell you the vibration, the pressure, and the humidity. And the beautiful part is you can stick an SD card right in there, and there's a program that goes with this particular device. You can upload it, and it'll show you on a graph where things were spiking specifically to its particular parameter. So whether it's humidity or pressure, what have you. So if there's an opportunity or an event that has happened, say, for example, you set this at the bottom of the stairs, a set of stairs, and we speak to a force and or energy to walk down the stairs. If this records that energy, you can corroborate that particular piece of environmental evidence with your question. So you can align what you're asking for, and it'll tell you, oh no, something happened at that moment. This is a game changer, this device. And a lot of TV shows use it. It's actually very, 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 very valuable. Now, the problem with other devices like a Necro box or whatever it is, it's a laptop that requires software updates. And I have a problem with programs that are designed to have an update, because updates mean it can be compromised. This can't be compromised. It's just chips and things. You can't update this. It only records certain aspects of the environment. An Ovilus box, again, that is just a piece of software. So anything that is software based, I have a problem using, because it requires an update and you don't know what those updates are. I would rather a standalone device that is just basic, straightforward, records a temperature and the environment, and that's it. It doesn't require an update. It is what it is. So when we go in, we set this up, we do this. We have a few experiments on our investigations where we've been using walkie-talkies, which is a very cool attempt at trying to communicate as ITC devices. That's cool. We also use a spirit box. I wasn't a big fan of spirit box until there were some things that came through, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can debunk that. That's nutty. Ooh, that's so crazy. So we're using more spirit box. But for the most part, Tara, we are just meat and potatoes. Give me some good EVPs. Give me some good electromagnetic field spikes.
I want to say something to this, if you don't mind. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to say something to this. I find that the more crazy stuff that people bring in, the less likely I'm attuning to it. So I like the voice recording things. I forget what they're all called. Give me someone talking. Give me you picking up what I can pick up. Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Boom. Exactly. Just as an example, we were at the 𝗛𝗶𝗏𝗿s, the Burning Leg Theater for 𝗛𝗏𝗿s, and we were doing an investigation in the lobby. And one of our team members, Alexandra, she asked, are you associated with the building or the land? Well, hot damn. The word building came out and we heard it all. All of us in the room heard building. So that's a DVP, that's direct voice phenomena. We heard it.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was also recorded on our devices. So unless somebody was standing outside with their ear pressed against the door, listening to our questions, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, building."
Yeah.
There was no explanation as to why this woman's voice came through so clearly and said building. I just can't. And trust as somebody who tries to make sense of stuff all the time, there was nothing I could find any reason why this wouldn't be an EVP.
That's the stuff that I'm like super into,
Yeah,
right? That's the stuff that I'm like, okay. I have a friend, Betty. She does a lot of paranormal work, and she just she was up in Yale, and she just did Alexandria Lodge. And so I said to her, so what's the one piece of equipment you would love? And she says, a Boo Buddy. I was like, I beg your pardon?
Oh, Boo Buddy.
And she says, I think I would like a Boo Buddy. And she has lots of stuff. And again, it's all, I don't understand any of it. I see a camera, I see a box. That's what I see. And I thought that is so cute. And when I went and looked at Boo Buddy, first of all, they're expensive. Holy smokes. But second of all, they were so cute. And I understood why she wants it though. Because it has a lot to do with how spirits feel with certain aspects, especially childlike spirits.
Sure.
And I just thought to myself, that was the cutest thing in the entire world. But I want to ask you, what do you think people misunderstand the most about these types of investigations?
It's not like what it is on TV.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ray. You are a piece of sunshine in my life. It's the same with the mediumship shows. It's exactly the same.
And often I'm fielded questions by folks who learn, either I'm an investigator, and they'll ask, so what's the most scary thing you've ever had? Like, what is there anything on TV I can watch? And often I have to say, it's not at all like you imagine it would be. Quite frankly, it's boring. And we're sitting around in the dark asking questions, tripping over ourselves. And TV just makes it something interesting that we can all digest for entertainment's sake, and which is cool. I don't have a problem with that. But then again, that falls back into the whole parapropaganda thing.
That's right.
Some people tend to believe that what happens on TV actually happens in investigations, and it's not. That's not the way it goes. And number two, to what people misunderstand, is not every spirit we encounter is malevolent, dark, evil. They're not.
Isn't that the truth?
It's not. They just simply are not. So again, that's television and heightening something that we all want to engage in, and ratings and be engaged. But the reality is, if we encounter something that we can conclude that is paranormal, not everything that we capture is out to get you.
This is the truth.
Period.
Because and this is something that bothers me about paranormal investigations, especially the ones on TV. And I've done this work for a very long time. I think it's over 22 years now that I've been a medium as my life's work. And I've come across lots of paranormal investigators. I've done lots of different things. I clear houses, I bless houses. I've been at the 𝐔𝐸𝐿 I've been in their basement where the murder took place. I've been everywhere. Separately House, we should do Separately House. If we can ever get in there,
sure,
we should do Separately House. And that's in Burnaby. You know where that is? That's
I do.
By the art gallery. Yeah, I love it. Crazy. You can just walk outside with your stuff, and sir, I guarantee you will pick up stuff. Right. But my point is that spirits are very rarely evil. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to be straight up and honest. There are no evil spirits. It's energy. It's spirits trying to get our attention, and because as humans we get frightened by it, right? As humans, it's something we're not expecting, or we don't understand, or we're not forgiving of, coming across an energy. So spirits, yeah, evil is, that stuff, people are expecting that because of the hype of the movie industry, the TV shows and all that stuff. But in reality, you're going to come across a lot of spirit that are looking for attention, and you're going to come across a lot of residual energy, stagnant energy, imprints. Those are ghosts, right? So when people talk about evil spirits, I usually have to do a check on them. Like, check, are you mentally well?
Yeah.
Like, serious, I'm not saying that to be rude, or I literally, as soon as people start talking to me about entities that are trying to hurt them, or that, and I get a lot of these, Tara, help me this, I'll have to do the mental health check for sure.
Sure. And if they are energies or forces that are trying to reach out, perhaps maybe the only way in which they know how to reach out is through a method that may appear frightening to
absolutely
to
correct,
a client.
sir.
So we should just be more tolerant, because at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, these energies and forces were people too, right? And
you are absolutely correct.
And respecting that and treating them in such a way that gives them a sense of comfort, not a sense of how can I say this?
Violation?
Well, violation. And also, this isn't what do I say? What do we say when we're on the investigation? This is not sideshow tricks. We're not here for tricks. We're here to communicate. We're here to do this.
Yeah.
I don't want you, spirit, to do something for me just for the sake of a parlor trick. That's the term.
Fair enough.
We're not doing parlor tricks. We're here to communicate, because you were at one point a person too, and maybe there are other things that weren't people. I can't speak to that entirely. I don't know, but whatever force and or energy that is interested in communicating, whether it is something that was never human, or whether that was something that was human, must be approached with a measure of respect. And that's the way we do it at Helter Spectre. We don't go in with guns a-blazing. We're pretty benevolent and kind, and try to make sense of stuff and just get some answers,
nice,
for us and for the client.
2 final questions for you. And then I think our cats and dogs need to have some attention paid to them.
Sure.
So first one is there any haunted location in the world that you would absolutely love to investigate?
Yes.
Tell me.
This it's not very exciting, but I would love to do a thorough investigation of the Riverview Hospital.
Oh, that is very exciting for me.
In 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
That would be very exciting for me. The chances of that are very hard. We've tried for years and years and years. I even have an in with a psych nurse there. And but I would, if that ever happens, sir, call your friend Tara, because I would really like to find some peace there.
Yeah. For the edification of your viewers, the Riverview Hospital was an old sanitarium and mental hospital in Coquitlam, British Columbia, and has been used for many years to help or not help patients of certain levels of mental issues. So it has a reputation of being very dark and very loaded with energy. And just as an aside, because my job as somebody who works in film, often we go in there and we shoot certain shows and things, and so we have access to certain parts of Riverview, and that's enticing for someone like myself.
For sure.
Why don't I just bring my digital recorder and go up to the 4th floor where allegedly they did horrible things to people? But yes, that would be on the top of my list, just to do a proper full investigation at Riverview.
There is a place, and I'm going to find it, and it just popped into my head when I asked you this question. I was watching a TikTok, and I watch all sorts of stuff on TikTok, but it was a lawyer. I'm going to have to look it up. And it was a full community that was built based, if I understand this correctly, it was based on some kind of amusement park, but it was this full community with these massive $1 million houses
Mm-hmm.
that were all built.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole thing was abandoned. And she showed pictures of all these houses, and they are just completely run down and stuff.
Mm.
But watching it by itself, I got goosebumps. That doesn't
Mhm.
happen a lot to me. So
Yeah.
I'm going to find the name of that place. Maybe we'll go on, you and Alex and I will go on a
For sure.
journey.
I love that.
Final question, my friend.
Sure.
And Ray, is there anything you'd like to add? I talked through these whole things. Did I miss any questions that you think our audience would love to hear from you?
Just in terms of Helter Spectre as a team, we're kind of on the therapy approach of doing investigations.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, fortunately, my partner Alexandra is a therapist, so her approach in terms of speaking to things that may or may not be there, I'll tell you this: she gets more evidence than I do. And maybe that's the way I approach a question or ask. It's my voice, the tone, but she has a gift to get stuff and answers.
She's female.
She is female, yes. And so we're kind of approaching investigating in more of a benevolent way to find answers. And I can't say that about every team. I don't know. Maybe there are teams that operate differently than we do, or maybe they think they operate in that same way. I can't speak to that. And honestly, I just don't know. But I can say Helter Spectre, that's what we do. We go in, and it's all about respect. It's all about, this is your space. This is not our space. This is not parlor tricks. We're not here to have you entertain us. We're I don't want to use the word historians, but in some way we are. And I believe if they were in the past humans even living today just want to be heard. And so it's giving an opportunity to be heard. Whether that outcome is finding a place or a home or moving on, or whether it's just something they just need to do for where they are in the moment and that makes them feel better. I have no evidence to support any of that, but gosh, at the end of the day, it sure makes us feel good that we can just treat past lives as we do current lives.
I love that so much.
Yeah, maybe it's the Canadian in us. We're just like,
right?
Oh, geez, oh golly, oh, sorry about that. Don't mean to disturb
Didn't mean
you.
to walk through you.
Didn't mean to walk through you. Oh gosh, sorry. That was just me. Oh, by the way, do you want to talk? Like,
yeah, I get it. I get it though, and I think that's a really, really important aspect. I have worked with other paranormal investigators, and the ones that really have the integrity in the work they're doing, I feel will get what they need to get, because spirit will feel it.
For sure. Yeah, it's all about
Spirit
intention.
will feel it.
If you put out false intention, got it, they won't respond. If you put out good intention, legitimate intention, that vibe goes through the veils and the levels and everything else. And it's just like, as we want to manifest things in our life, we have to raise our vibration. So if you go into a place and raise your vibration with honest intention, you'll get honest results.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
Ray, I'm going to have all your information
Sure
put onto in the comments and whatever my beautiful assistant Vanessa does for us.
Sure.
And I am so excited to see where you go with all of this.
Thank you.
You are seriously my personal closet medium and sensitive, whatever you call yourself. I know what you are. And I wish you all the best with this. And I know that we're going to do some work together. And I am super excited to see where you go with all of this.
Awesome. Thank you so very much for having me. This is great. I've never been interviewed before, and this has been awesome. Hopefully I didn't talk everybody's face off. So
that's okay. Ralph made up for everything.
Totally. I love Ralph. He's probably chewing up my couch right now.
I was thinking to myself, Cookie was sitting here crying. I'm like, oh no. Okay, my friend, we better go tend to our pets. They need us. Okay, sir, take care.
You as well. We'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you so much.